So if you've been searching for a hidden gem action RPG, you might just seen this. The ANIMA Gate of Memories 1 and 2 Remaster just dropped a demo, but after playing it twice under an hour, here's the honest truth about whether this cult classic from 2016 is actually worth your time. Let's break it down. So for all of you, what exactly is ANIMA? It's a cult classic indie action RPG from 2016 that just got a full-blown remaster. Now, the inspirations are quite ambitious. For some of you who did not play the 2016 variant and you're coming into this brand new, think Legacy of Kain's dark exploration mixed with Devil May Cry's basically character action based combat. Now the remaster does bundle both games, Gate of Memories and its extended campaign The Nameless, but for the demo you are only going to be able to get access to the first game. I went through the entire thing twice live on stream, and I did once on normal and I did once on hard to make sure I just wasn't missing anything like hidden depth is between the difficulties or anything of the nature, but I did notice something during both of those playthroughs. So here's what I found. Let's start with what actually works, right? The good stuff. The combat system definitely has a ton of potential, mainly due to its dual character switching mechanics. You control basically two characters. One is called the Bearer, our blonde. I don't know really what she is. She seems like a priest, and her demonic book, Fiend Ergo Mundus. Now you can swap between them mid combo, and since only one is playable at a time, it adds a layer of strategy. Now each character has a distinctive playstyle, which is crucial to keeping combat fresh. The Bearer is agile, it focuses on magic and just quick attacks, while Ergo is the heavy hitter using brute force, basically the tank of it all, just our dark edgy guy. It's the brightest spot in the gameplay, right? Beyond the combat, the atmosphere and the art direction are genuinely nostalgic. When I was on stream, I kept saying that this art style leans more into the early 2000s anime aesthetic that honestly feels like a PS2 or very early PS3 era throwback. Even though the game did drop in 2016, it kind of gave me that distinctive old school vibe. The gothic fantasy environments look cool, certainly know the dark tone that they're going for. And finally, you are basically getting both full games in one package, which means you're basically getting a nice solid content value once the full game drops. Now the demo does end on two very tough boss fights, one of which directly foreshadows who the Nameless is, the protagonist of the second game or the extended campaign of the first. The potential for a deep, challenging action RPG is definitely here. Now, I did say a lot of good stuff. But we need to have that reality check. And this right here is where my mixed feelings come in. And when I was live on stream, you can kind of see my mixed feelings live, basically. But the combat does have potential. Yes, you are right. That is correct. It has potential. But it's the biggest flaw, and I noticed this right away, immediately before anything started, was the stamina bar. Now, I don't know who wanted to be different, who wanted to reinvent the wheel, anything of that nature. I don't understand why that this game has to have a stamina bar. Let's look at some of the classic action games like Devil May Cry and Ninja Gaiden, right? Some of them who are carrying on their backs for years about how action games are. And I don't understand having like a with mana meter or anything like that, so you just can't spam attacks, which sure, like Devil May Cry has their version of that, and Ninja Gaiden has the Nempo meter, or you gotta build it up, sure. But overall, when it comes to attacking and comboing things, the stamina bar fundamentally hinders the combo system. Keep in mind, you are rewarded for big combos. But the second you start getting into a groove, the stamina meter forces you to stop, and it breaks the entire flow. It basically feels like an unnecessary handicap. You got to think Like if I want to learn these combos, that's what makes Devil May Cry and Ninja Gaiden so cool. Is when you start learning combos, you get into the flow. And if you mess up, hey, you mess up, or you didn't understand the telepathing attack animations, stuff of that nature. Like 9 times out of 10, it's on you, especially depending on what difficulty you're playing on. But I should not have something that's in the force of it just stopping me from being able to finish my combo. And sometimes those combos don't feel as fluid and jank, and that brings me to my second part. On top of that, the controls feel very rough and janky, which is where the game starts to truly feel dated. I went full aggressive mode on the hard difficulty, playing mostly as Ergo, and the stamina bar hurt me countless of times. I also noticed that there is no aerial dash, which is also kind of crazy because that's kind of like a staple in this genre, or some variation of that. I can be able to dash through the air or dodge through the air or something of that nature to either A, continuing platforming, or B, being able to extend any air combos that I get, because you have a launcher based thing. And I don't understand why I can't just immediately dash into the enemy to create even more damage. Shit, most fighting games have that. Marvel vs. Capcom 3, that's my shout out to that. My second major critique is the voice acting and the lip syncing, right? The line delivery is often hit or miss, and to be honest, it's mostly a miss. Even worse, the character models do not move their mouths when they speak, which is the most super jarring, uncanny valley effect that immediately pulls you out of the experience. And of course, we have the demo length problem. Now, I don't know if you paid attention to this video at this point. If you have, drop a like, hit the subscribe button. But if you paid attention, keep in mind, I said earlier in this video, I have beat this demo twice in 1 hour. I'll say an hour and some change. This section is essentially a quick tutorial. You get a tad bit of exploration and 2 basically rapid fire boss fights. And for an action game that just doesn't give you enough time to really understand the mechanics and the system of how it works, especially since most action demos give you a good 2 to 3 hours, or just give you like a nice decent amount of playthrough to kind of understand what the hell is going on. Now, granted, I would have loved to play another section from the second game, or just another section with the main characters from the main game, just to kind of get a better grasp of the overall package. Like I said, I think by the time I was really doing it, I was getting done with the demo within like 30 minutes, 40 minutes tops, depending. I think it took me a little bit longer on the hard difficulty, mainly because it was a little bit harder. Spamming the magic attacks towards the end of the boss fight with the red lady was absolutely atrocious. But let's add a little bit of context to this, right? If you are expecting polished, fast-paced Devil May Cry combat, then you need to basically lower the expectations. This feels more like a budget character action game from 2010. If you love the dark atmosphere of Legacy Kain, then those gothic vibes are there. But again, the overall execution is rough. This is in the same ballpark as titles like Darksiders or older God of War clones, ambitious indie projects that clearly have heart and soul, but simply lack the polish that most AA, or sadly have to say this one, that AAA studios have to offer. And it didn't even have to be AAA like $80 budget games, just like there's other games that just kind of doing it a bit better. And this leads to the key question: who is this remaster actually for? Is it for fans of the original looking for a nostalgia trip, or is it for new players discovering for the first time? And right now, I'm honestly not sure. And for a remaster, that's a problem. And that brings me to my question of the video, the title of this video. Should you play Anima Gate of Memories Remaster? My honest take is, and I'm gonna throw a couple of things. Download the demo if you are a fan of the original and you want a taste of the remaster. Granted, I have not played the original game. I understand it was on 2016 on the PS4. I just did not get a chance to be able to play it. So for those of you who already played it and want to see the difference, check the demo out. If you also love cult classic action RPGs and don't mind some of the rough edges, or you're simply curious about the dual character system, then hey, It's free, so you literally have nothing to lose by checking it out. Now, for those of you who wants to skip this demo, if you're expecting a modern, polished action RPG experience, you don't have patience for dated game design like the stamina bar issue or a couple other things like regarding the way the jank controls and all that good stuff, and you're looking for like that next big indie hit, I sadly have to say I don't think this is going to be a next big indie hit, because there's a lot of other indie games out there that are either doing it better, or there's just so many of it that it's hard to really like, hey, sell you this game. And honestly, the biggest question is, should you buy the full game? Based on this demo alone, I would have to say wait. Definitely wait for like either a full review, wait for a sale, wait to see if the developers address some of these fundamental design issues. I don't think that's going to happen overall, but as of right now, there is not a price. But honestly, there are better action RPGs you could possibly spend your money on. But if you're a diehard fan of this specific niche, then you probably already know if this is for you or not. Look, I know a lot of you are constantly searching for indie RPGs that are actually worth your time. That's literally why my channel exists. I play these demos, I play these indie games and all these other types of games releases, so you know what's actually worth downloading. If you want more honest first looks at games like this, then you want no hype, no bullshit, just real talk, hit the subscribe button. I'm covering new demos and releases every single week, but hey, drop a comment below. Have you played the original ANIMA games? Am I being too harsh? Then let me know. Other than that, Outcast, stay safe, and it's been your host, Chaos DTV, signing out. Peace.